You ever notice how the world loves to pretend it's in control? That every move, every word, every decision fits neatly into some pattern, some plan, some illusion of order. But what if the truth is chaos is closer than you think? What if the ground shifts beneath your feet and suddenly everything you thought was untouchable is exposed? God doesn't send warnings to entertain us, He sends them to wake us. And right now, a major arrest is coming. Not tomorrow, not in some abstract future, but soon enough that hesitation, distraction, and denial will feel like betrayal. Awareness is the first line of defense. And isn't that a beautifully ironic truth? Most people walk through life with blinders on, pretending that the world is predictable, orderly, manageable. They convince themselves that if they keep their heads down, follow the routine, and play along with the comfortable illusions, they will be safe, untouched, unexposed. But the truth is merciless. The world does not reward ignorance. It does not care about comfort, and it certainly does not pause while you stumble in denial. Awareness, true awareness, is the weapon, the shield, the first line of defense. When the storm finally arrives, when the chaos pierces through the veil of everyday life, and when the consequences you ignored knock at your door. To be aware is not merely to notice what is obvious. Anyone can see the surface, the signs everyone else is staring at, the headlines, the gossip, the chatter. Awareness is deeper. It is the quiet recognition of patterns, the subtle understanding of timing, the instinct to sense what is about to unfold before it slams into you. It is the ability to see the cracks in what others assume is solid, the hesitation in people who claim confidence, the tension in moments that seem ordinary but are anything but. Awareness is not passive observation. It is active, deliberate, and relentless. Most people fail because they underestimate it. They believe the world will give them signals, that warnings will come wrapped in bright neon lights. That danger will announce itself with fanfare. But life doesn't work that way. The warning signs are whispers, glimpses, shadows. The storm is quiet until it hits, and those who are blind to the undercurrents, those who live distracted, are caught unprepared, helpless, scrambling to survive what they could have seen coming. Awareness is the difference between being a spectator and being a participant, between being crushed and being in control, between being irrelevant and being untouchable. And isn't it thrilling to realize the power of it? To understand that while everyone else is fumbling in distraction, following routine, pretending comfort equals safety, you are attuned, alert, tuned to the pulse of what matters, sensing the shifts before they erupt, reading the hidden cues that most miss. Awareness is a superpower, a lens that magnifies danger, clarifies strategy, and turns chaos into opportunity. Those who cultivate it do not panic. When the world shakes, they move through it with purpose, precision, and quiet inevitability. Awareness also demands honesty. You cannot be truly aware if you are deluding yourself, hiding from the truth, or dismissing discomfort. The moment of reckoning exposes everything you've ignored, every half-truth, every rationalization, every shadow you've chosen to leave unexamined. The unprepared are flung into panic, scrambling to adapt, while the aware see patterns, anticipate moves, and act with surgical precision. Awareness is a relentless mirror, reflecting the reality most refuse to face, and the chosen one learns to stare at it without flinching, without excuses, without hesitation. The first line of defense is also proactive. It is not enough to simply notice what is coming. You must act on it. Awareness without action is useless, a ghost in machine, a shadow with no teeth. The aware convert observation into preparation, understanding into strategy, recognition into decisive movement. They use knowledge as leverage, foresight as a weapon, and intuition as a guide, ensuring that when the moment strikes, they are not caught off guard, they are not reactive, they are dominant. Awareness is not passive, it is kinetic, alive, and deadly effective when cultivated with care and commitment. And isn't it deliciously ironic how invisible it is to others? People marvel at results, at timing, at precision, at calm in the face of chaos, never realizing that it is awareness that underpins every successful move. They see the impact, but not the quiet accumulation of vigilance, the relentless observation, the tuning of perception that makes dominance possible. Awareness is invisible to those who lack it, but devastatingly apparent to those who experience its consequences. It is the first line of defense, the secret weapon, the quiet storm beneath the surface that determines who survives and who is swept away by inevitability. Time and chance do not pause for the unobservant. The storm, the chaos, the major arrest, the moment of reckoning, they arrive without invitation, without warning, without compromise. And those who have cultivated awareness feel it coming, anticipate it, understand its trajectory, and position themselves accordingly. Awareness sharpens instincts, aligns decisions, and converts fear into strategy. It transforms the ordinary into advantage, the unseen into opportunity, and the inevitable into controlled outcome, ensuring that when the world finally strikes, the first line of defense is not luck, not reaction, not hope. It is you, armed with awareness, unflinching, precise, and unrelenting. Chaos often comes disguised as routine, and isn't that a deliciously deceptive truth? Most people live their lives lulled into comfort, convinced that repetition, predictability, and monotony are shields against disaster. They follow schedules, adhere to habits, and imagine that order protects them. But the world doesn't care about comfort, and it doesn't wait for you to feel safe. Chaos hides in plain sight, masquerading as ordinary, creeping into the mundane, lurking in patterns everyone trusts, and striking when the unprepared least expect it. The chosen one sees through this illusion, the rest stumble blindly. Routine is seductive. It offers a false sense of control, a comforting rhythm that convinces the mind that nothing can go wrong. People take solace in repetition, forgetting that each day carries the potential for upheaval, that every habit can be exploited, and that what seems predictable can explode into disaster in a heartbeat. Chaos doesn't arrive announcing itself with sirens or fanfare. It drifts silently, waiting to pounce on those who mistake comfort for security, those who believe that, because the days feel the same, the consequences will too. And isn't it thrilling when you realize how fragile it all is? A minor misstep in routine can ripple into catastrophe. A small oversight, a neglected detail, a fleeting distraction. These are the cracks through which chaos slips, infiltrating the carefully constructed life of the unprepared. Most people fail to notice because they are blind to the invisible currents beneath the surface of normalcy. They are lulled into complacency, trusting that the ordinary is safe, and then the extraordinary smashes through like a storm they never saw coming. The chosen one, however, moves differently. They see the hidden tension in mundane moments, the subtle shifts in patterns, the faint tremors that foretell upheaval. While the world relaxes into repetition, the chosen one sharpens perception, cultivates vigilance, and prepares for disruption. They understand that routine is not a shield, but a disguise. And it is precisely in the ordinary, in the unnoticed, in the repetitive, that readiness is tested, patience is honed, and awareness is sharpened into a weapon. Chaos also reveals itself through small anomalies, things most people dismiss as inconsequential. A hesitation in a colleague's tone, a deviation from normal schedules, a subtle tension in the air. All of these are markers, hints, signs. The unobservant ignore them. The aware notice, catalog and analyze them, transforming seemingly trivial details into a blueprint of foresight. Awareness is not passive, it is deliberate, calculated, and anticipatory. The chosen one sees the storm before it fully forms, understanding that preparation is built not in reaction but in anticipation of disruption, hidden in plain sight. And the beauty of chaos disguised as routine is in its subtlety. It doesn't announce itself. It does not provide the courtesy of warning. The unprepared feel the impact as a shockwave, as if the universe suddenly shifted, but the chosen one feels the tremor in advance. Every familiar pattern becomes a test, every repeated motion a rehearsal, every predictable element a canvas on which they can anticipate the unpredictable. While others stumble blindly, the chosen one moves deliberately, consciously, with a precision born of observing the ordinary while expecting the extraordinary. Routine also magnifies consequences. The longer people cling to illusionary stability, the harder the fall when the ordinary collapses into chaos. Habits that once provided comfort can become traps, distractions, or liabilities. The unprepared find themselves paralyzed, frozen by the very structure they trusted. But the chosen one has used the same hours, the same habits, the same patterns to practice vigilance, refine decision-making, and build a silent, invisible readiness that transforms disruption into advantage. The ordinary becomes a stage and chaos becomes a tool for those willing to see it coming. And isn't it ironic how invisible all this is? To the world, routine looks harmless, predictable, even safe. People admire those who manage their lives without noticing the undercurrents of tension that lie beneath. But the chosen one knows better. They understand that routine is only a veneer, a mask that hides the potential for collapse, the inevitability of change, and the arrival of moments that demand readiness. By reading the subtle, anticipating the unexpected, and preparing while the world relaxes, they convert the ordinary into opportunity, the mundane into advantage, and the hidden chaos into a mechanism for control, mastery, and survival. Chaos is patient, subtle, and relentless. It does not need to roar, it only needs to slip unnoticed, exploiting the blind spots created by repetition and comfort. The chosen one does not wait to react. They study the ordinary, anticipate the fractures, and position themselves to act decisively when routine shatters. While the world is lulled into a false sense of security, the aware move with precision, focus, and quiet inevitability, turning the very structure that blinds others into a weapon, a shield, and a means of navigating the storm that few ever see coming until it is too late. Preparation determines who survives the storm. And isn't that a deliciously unsettling truth? Most people stumble through life, believing that chance, luck, or the indulgence of others will save them when the inevitable chaos arrives. They think survival is accidental, that fortune favors those who wait passively, who ignore the undercurrents of risk, who lull themselves into comfort while the world churns around them. But the truth is merciless and intoxicating. Survival is never accidental. It is deliberate, painstaking, relentless. It is forged in preparation long before the storm shows its face, and it is the difference between collapse and triumph, between being swept away and standing unbroken. Preparation is not glamorous. It does not parade itself in the daylight. It doesn't come with applause, recognition, or validation. It hides in the hours no one notices, in the silent repetition, in the minute decisions made when no one is watching. It is a slow burn, a hidden accumulation of focus, discipline, and strategy, until the moment arrives when the unprepared are flung into panic, while the prepared move with precision, calm, and inevitability. The world sees only the outcome, the visible mastery, but the careful, meticulous preparation that precedes it is invisible, uncelebrated, and yet infinitely more powerful than any fleeting moment of apparent luck. And isn't it ironic how many refuse to see it? They postpone, procrastinate, excuse, and rationalize, imagining that when the moment comes, instinct or charm or luck will carry them through. But instinct without preparation is blind, charm is hollow, and luck is a liar. Only preparation equips a person to face reality when it comes crashing down, to navigate chaos, to act decisively when hesitation would mean ruin. The chosen one knows this. They embrace preparation as both weapon and shield, understanding that every moment invested in readiness compounds into power that is unassailable when the time demands it. Preparation also demands discipline. It requires confronting weakness, acknowledging limitation, and enduring discomfort that most people flee from. There is no shortcut, no convenient timing, no substitute. Every repetition, every rehearsal, every small act of honing mind, body, and instincts builds an internal architecture of strength that is invisible to observers, but impossible to ignore in effect. While others dream of survival, the prepared are shaping it, forging it, practicing it in the silence, in the tension, in the hours everyone else wastes. And isn't it thrilling, the control it gives? While the unprepared flounder, paralyzed by fear, uncertainty, and indecision, the prepared move with inevitability. They see patterns, anticipate outcomes, and act with surgical precision. Preparation converts anxiety into action, doubt into strategy, and raw potential into unstoppable momentum. The storm may rage, the world may collapse around them, but the chosen one does not flinch. They move through it as if they had rehearsed every possible twist, every sudden rupture, every unexpected blow, because in truth they have. Preparation also teaches awareness. It requires seeing hidden threats, sensing opportunities, and calculating risks that most cannot perceive. It demands honesty, brutal honesty, with oneself, exposing the flaws, hesitation, and gaps that could prove fatal. The unprepared hide, rationalize, and flee from this truth. The prepared stare at it, wrestle with it, and transform it into strength. Every moment of clarity, every uncomfortable confrontation with weakness, every disciplined act of foresight compounds into readiness that cannot be undone by chance or misfortune. And here's the exquisite irony: preparation is invisible, yet its effects are undeniable. People marvel at those who survive, who excel, who move unshakably when chaos erupts, and they whisper about talent, luck, genius. They rarely, if ever, see the hours spent in silence, the relentless honing of skill, the repeated confrontation with fear, the deliberate alignment of mind, body, and instinct. Preparation is the secret engine driving inevitability, and those who cultivate it hold a power that appears effortless, but is born of relentless, unglamorous effort. Time, opportunity, and circumstance are indifferent. The storm does not wait, the crisis does not negotiate, and the world does not pause. Those who are unprepared will falter, hesitate, and succumb. The prepared do not rely on the whims of chance. They have anticipated the chaos, practiced the response, and positioned themselves to act decisively. Every moment before the storm is a rehearsal, every decision a calibration, every repetition a weapon. Survival, triumph, control, they belong to those who prepare while everyone else dreams, because preparation does not merely influence the outcome. It defines it, ensures it, and renders inevitability into reality. Fear can sharpen focus if harnessed correctly, and isn't that a wonderfully unsettling truth? Most people are terrified of fear. They run from it, hide from it, pretend it doesn't exist, as if ignoring it could erase its presence. But the chosen one knows better. Fear is not an enemy. It is a signal, a tool, a whisper that something is at stake. It trembles beneath the surface, unbidden, uncomfortable, and everyone else recoils. But the one who sees clearly understands that fear is the raw material of clarity, the forge in which instincts are sharpened, and the engine that can propel action with precision and purpose if it is embraced rather than denied. Fear is relentless. It sneaks into the mind quietly, tightening the chest, quickening the pulse, and planting doubt like seeds in fertile soil. Most people mistake it for weakness, for failure, for a reason to stop. They panic, freeze, or turn away, hoping that if they ignore it, it will dissipate. But fear is patient. It waits for hesitation, it thrives on avoidance, and it magnifies in the absence of confrontation. The chosen one feels fear fully, names it, studies it, and uses it. They bend it into energy, convert its tension into focus, and let it guide movement rather than paralyze it. Harnessing fear is an art. It requires awareness, discipline, and honesty. One must stare into the dark corners of the mind and confront every tremor of uncertainty, every whisper of doubt. The world does not pause for comfort, and hesitation is fatal. Fear becomes a compass, pointing directly to what matters, to what is dangerous, to what must be faced with courage and precision. The chosen one does not merely react to fear. They dance with it, manipulate it, use it to heighten perception, to sharpen instincts, and to transform anxiety into advantage. Most people misunderstand the role of fear. They believe courage is the absence of it, that strength is the suppression of trembling, that control is the denial of vulnerability. But true mastery of fear lies in integration, in transformation. It is not the absence of tremor, but the decision to move with it, to act despite it, and to allow its energy to focus rather than scatter. Fear, when ignored, becomes paralysis. Fear, when harnessed, becomes the invisible force behind every decisive, deliberate, and unstoppable action of the prepared. And isn't it intoxicating to consider the power of it? While the world flinches, freezes, and fails, the chosen one uses fear as a lens. Every spike of adrenaline, every quickened heartbeat, every shiver of tension becomes a tool, a signal, a resource. It heightens awareness of danger, clarifies priorities, and compels the mind to sharpen decisions, refine strategy, and execute with precision. Fear is not something to escape, it is something to exploit, to extract value from, and to convert into an advantage that others cannot comprehend. Fear also teaches resilience. Each confrontation with it, each moment of hesitation overcome, builds mental, emotional, and physical toughness that accumulates invisibly, relentlessly, and inevitably. The unprepared are crushed by the first wave, the aware bend and bend again, absorbing its force, learning its rhythms, and emerging stronger each time. Fear exposes weakness, and those who embrace it have the opportunity to transform vulnerability into strength, uncertainty into clarity, and trembling into deliberate, controlled motion that leaves the unprepared bewildered. And isn't it ironic how invisible this process is? To the world, the chosen one appears calm, collected, unshakable. Observers see confidence and precision and whisper about talent, luck, or inherent strength. They cannot perceive the internal storm, the constant negotiation with fear, the deliberate conversion of anxiety into focus. But the chosen one knows the truth. Fear is not a liability. It is a hidden ally, a secret force, a sharpening stone that owns instincts, decisions, and readiness into something unavoidable, inevitable, and lethal in effect. Fear also enhances timing and anticipation. The chosen one learns to feel the precise moment to act, to detect the subtle shift in danger, to anticipate moves before they occur. The trembling of the chest, the tension in the gut, the whisper of doubt, they all signal what is coming, and the aware translate these signals into action, strategy, and execution. The unprepared interpret fear as a signal to freeze. The chosen one interprets it as a call to move, to strike, to dominate. And so fear, when harnessed correctly, becomes invisible power. It is a guide, a teacher, a weapon, and a lens. The chosen one does not shrink from its presence. They study it, manipulate it, and transform it into a force that amplifies every decision, every movement, every instinct. While the world trembles in hesitation, the aware use fear as fuel, sharpening focus, clarifying purpose, and converting anxiety into action, ensuring that when the moment arrives, nothing can shake the precision, the timing, and the inevitability of their response. Timing and observation are critical when events are unpredictable. And isn't that a wonderfully cruel irony? Most people stumble through life thinking that things happen in neat, predictable sequences. They trust schedules, assume patterns, and imagine that circumstance will conform to their expectations. But the truth is far more deliciously chaotic. Life does not care about convenience, order, or certainty. Events unfold with wild, unpredictable randomness, and only those who cultivate acute observation and perfect timing survive the moments that others cannot even anticipate. Timing is not about luck. It is not about coincidence. It is not about waiting for some magical alignment of stars or fortune to smile upon you. Timing is about reading the subtle cues, interpreting the smallest shifts in behavior, understanding the rhythm of events, and acting with precision the instant opportunity appears. The unprepared believe that they will just know when to move, that instinct alone will guide them. But instinct without careful observation is blind. The chosen one watches, studies, listens, and senses, turning every microsecond into intelligence and every glance into strategy. Observation is both art and weapon. The world is full of details most people overlook: the twitch of an eye, the hesitation in a voice, the small irregularities in routine. The unobservant dismiss these as insignificant, while the chosen one catalogs, analyzes, and interprets them. Every anomaly is a clue, every inconsistency a signal, every pattern a potential map of the chaos to come. Observation is the bridge between ignorance and mastery, between panic and decisive action, between being swept away and controlling the storm. And isn't it intoxicating, the power it grants? While everyone else is reacting to events after they occur, the aware move in anticipation. They exploit the small gaps, predict outcomes before they manifest, and position themselves where the wave of chaos will pass harmlessly.